The NBA is known for dishing out some of the most expensive fines in all of sports, and here are the top 13. Number 13. Aubrey McClendon, 250 grand, 2017. In 2017, Seattle Subsonics co-owner Aubrey McClendon sparked controversy with his remarks in an interview with Oklahoma's Journal Record. He stated, "We didn't purchase the Sonics to keep them in Seattle. Our aim was to move them here. Despite financial challenges in Oklahoma City, we believe it benefits the community, and breaking even would be a success." This statement alarmed Seattle's local officials and then NBA Commissioner David Stern, who had previously expressed his desire to retain the Sonics in Seattle, their home for 40 years. The NBA responded by fining McClendon $250 grand, a decision confirmed by league spokesman Tim Frank. Clay Bennett, the Sonics and Storm's majority owner, emphasized that McClendon's views were not representative of the entire ownership group. McClendon, a prominent energy mogul from Oklahoma City, was among the four main partners in the Professional Basketball Club LLC with Clay Bennett. This Oklahoma-based group acquired the Sonics and the WNBA Storm in July 2006 for $350 million. Number 12. Latrell Sprewell, $250,000, 2002. One of New York Knicks' most talented players, Latrell Sprewell got fined $250 grand in 2002 for failing to report a fractured hand. Yes, that's a violation of the ethics of the game. While Latrell was a highly valued player in the Knicks, he was also known for his volatile character. When he eventually showed up with a broken hand, the Knicks didn't find it tolerable and handed him $250,000 for his failure to report the injury in a timely manner. Latrell, who said he sustained the injury during the offseason, was out of commission for 6 weeks, as he was told not to return to the team until he was ready to be useful to the team. The fine at the time was the highest the team ever issued, and it increased the tension already existing between Latrell and the Knicks. He had had several issues with management for his habit of arriving late to games and practices, and missing a pre-game shoot-around in April the same year had earned him a fine of $125 grand, although only $2,500 was eventually paid. "Frankly, we've tried other things," Scott Layden, general manager, said. "We're going to try something different this time." What do you think of the Knicks' penalty on Latrell? Was it overboard or okay? Please tell us in the comments. Number 11. San Antonio Spurs, $250,000, 2012. Back in 2012, San Antonio Spurs had a game with Miami Heat, and the Spurs head coach Greg Popovich decided to field his second unit, excluding his elite players Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Danny Green, and Tony Parker from the game. In fact, he had sent them home to have some rest. Then NBA Commissioner David Stern did not find it funny, calling it unacceptable. He said it was a disservice to the league and our fans, and promised a substantial sanction, which manifested in a $250,000 fine on the Spurs. Resting star players is a common practice in the NBA, which makes the decision, as much as the penalty itself, quite controversial. Popovich's decision to rest healthy players was in violation of a league policy, which was reviewed with the NBA Board of Governors in April 2010 against resting players in a way that's not in the best interest of the NBA. The result here is dictated by the totality of the facts in this case. The Spurs decided to make 4 of their top players unavailable for an early season game. That was the team's only regular season visit to Miami. The team also did this without informing the Heat, the media, or the league office in a timely way. Under these circumstances, I have concluded that the Spurs did a disservice to the league and our fans, David said. The Spurs since 2008 were good at resting their players, and Popovich had done it several times in his career, but that Friday's sanction was the first of penalties for the team for resting players. Number 10. Damon Stoudemire, $250,000, 2003. As a star point guard for the Portland Trail Blazers, Damon Stoudemire was a player much respected, but when he was arrested 3 times in 2003 over the possession of marijuana, it was time for the NBA management to take action. Nobody frowned on the $250,000 fine slammed on Damon by the NBA, and the Portland organization subsequently suspended him and told the star player to get professional help. However, it's good to know that after serving a 3-month suspension for his arrest on drug charges, he voluntarily submitted himself for rehabilitation and stayed clean for 90 days. Damon was reinstated in the team. His team waived the $250,000 fine, but Damon said he would give $100,000 to an early childhood education program in the Portland area. "A lot of childish things have happened," Damon said after his reinstatement. "It's a situation I'm embarrassed about for myself, my family, my Blazers family, and everybody that supported me. We plan to move forward and not spend the time dwelling on the past," he said. Number 9. Mickey Arison, $500,000, 2011. The NBA took it out on Miami Heat owner Mickey Arison over a remark he made on Twitter concerning the 2011 lockout. Violating the strict injunction not to discuss the lockout on social media, the NBA slammed Mickey with a $500,000 fine, as reported by Yahoo Sports. At the time, it was the single largest fine ever hit on an individual in NBA history. It all started when a fan directed a tweet at Mickey asking, "How does it feel to be a part of ruining the best game in the world? NBA owners and players don't give a damn about fans. Fans provide all the money you're fighting over, you greedy pigs." Mickey couldn't let this slide, so he fired back at the fan, tweeting, "You're barking at the wrong owner." The tweet was soon deleted within 30 minutes, but by then it had already created outrage among other owners and league executives. Although the league didn't issue an official notice on the fine, an NBA spokesman confirmed to ESPN.com that Arison had been fined. Mickey's $500,000 fine was 5 times the amount other owners have been made to pay in the past for public comments over the contentious labor situation. The fine gave an idea just how rich some of those people fighting over NBA money were. And for your information, Mickey was worth $4.2 billion at the time. Number 8. Vladimir Radmanovich, $500,000, 2007. Vladimir Radmanovich's fine is exasperating. Fined for snowboarding. Yeah, you heard me right. When Vladimir went on a snowboarding excursion at Park City, Utah in 2007 during the All-Star break, he didn't know he was inviting trouble. That he was violating an NBA rule that characterized snowboarding or any other extreme sports as a no-go zone for its players. And to make matters worse, he sustained a separated right shoulder injury, highlighting the dangers of the sport. The Lakers contemplated fining him between $1 million and $100,000, finally settling on $500,000, one of the biggest fines slammed by the NBA on its players. The league officials maintained that players must avoid any physical activities that could jeopardize their safety, health, and fitness. The then 26-year-old initially claimed he had injured himself when he skipped on a patch of ice while crossing the street after seeing a friend, but later told team officials the truth a few days later. It was his first time snowboarding, and he was hurt when he suffered a flip while running on the slopes that fateful February 17, 2007. Radmanovich, who signed a 5-year, $30.2 million contract with the LA Lakers in July 2006, was glad his contract was not voided, something not seriously considered by the Lakers because he was considered a decent player. "That's their legal right," Vladimir said when asked about his contract getting voided. "They didn't do it, and I'm really grateful for that." He gladly paid the fine. Vladimir was scheduled to earn $5.2 million that season, bringing his fine to about 10% of his salary. Should NBA players really be banned from engaging in other sports activities, especially when it's for fun? Number 7. New York Knicks and Denver Nuggets, $500,000, 2006. When a game turns into a brawl, fines are bound to fly high. This is the exact scenario during a game between the New York Knicks and Denver Nuggets on December 16, 2006, where the visiting Nuggets were thrashing New York Knicks in a humiliating manner. The Nuggets' J.R. Smith got fouled by Marty Collins and Smith fell to the ground. Getting up, he faces Collins in a heated exchange of words. Nate Robinson charged into the altercation and got tackled by Smith. It became a free-for-all as all the players pushed and swore at each other, resulting in a very unhealthy situation. The price they paid? All the players involved got suspended, and each team was fined $500,000. To add to the fine, 7 players were banned for a total of 47 games. Number 6. Joe Dumars, $500,000, 2010. When Joe Dumars was Detroit Pistons president of basketball operations in 2010, he leaked multiple confidential league memos to then Yahoo.com reporter Adrian Wojnarowski, as reported by NewsRepublic.com. What was he thinking? Didn't he know the NBA rules on information dissemination? Well, he got himself on the wrong side of the NBA law and got fined a whopping $500,000. To trace the source of the leaks, the NBA had to set up a sting operation over the course of several months, and were able to track down Joe. Number 5. Mark Stevens, $500,000, 2019. Being an investor doesn't make you immune to the NBA fines. Mark Stevens realized this in 2019 after he went off the mark by pushing the Toronto Raptors guard Kyle Lowry and directing obscene language at him during a Game 3 of the finals. The incident happened with 10:37 remaining in the fourth quarter, as Lowry dived into the spectator's stand while in pursuit of a loose ball. Mark's behavior was unacceptable, and he was consequently banned from attending NBA games and Golden State Warriors team activities for 1 year. Then he was handed a $500,000 fine for his uncouth behavior. His ban was effective immediately and lasted through the 2019-20 NBA season and postseason. The MBPA released an official statement. We are closely monitoring both the Warriors and the league's continued investigation into this matter and anxiously await their conclusions and response. The NBPA has previously expressed its support of a zero-tolerance policy with respect to verbal and/or physical assaults perpetrated against players. Stevens' status as a member of the ownership group does not alter that view. Great! Do you think the penalties against Mark Stevens were too heavy? Let us know in the comments, and also hit the like button and subscribe. Number 4. Joe Lacob, $500,000, 2022. Joe Lacob, Golden State Warriors owner, joined the $500,000 fine club after he labeled the league's luxury tax system very unfair during a Point Forward podcast hosted by Andre Iguodala and Evan Turner about the league's collective bargaining talks on the 15th of July, 2022. The fine, which was first reported by ESPN, was later confirmed by a source to The Athletic. He violated the mandate prohibiting NBA owners and other team officials from commentating on collective bargaining issues in the public. Joe made the injurious comments while the discussion revolved around how he built the Warriors into a win-now powerhouse the previous season, while also growing young talent in what could be described as a two-timeline strategy. Joe went ahead to say the hardest aspect of all was navigating luxury tax. But the truth is, we're only $40 million more than the luxury tax, he said. Now, it's not small, but it's not a massive number. We're $200 million over in total, though, because most of that is this incredibly penal luxury tax. And what I consider to be very unfair, and I'm gonna say it on this podcast, and I hope it gets back to whoever is listening, and obviously it's self-serving for me to say this, but I think it's a very unfair system. All top 8 players are all drafted by this team. The Warriors, who won their 4th match in 8 years that June, did it on a payroll of $184 million, creating a luxury tax bill of $170.3 million, according to Spotrac. Well, the point he was trying to make wasn't for the public to consume, so he got heavily fined. Number 3. Mark Cuban. $250,000, $500,000, $750,000, 2001 to 2023. Mark Cuban can easily be described as the king of NBA fines because he's the most fined individual in NBA history, right from his earlier years as a majority share owner of Dallas Mavericks. Known for his eccentric and loud personality, Cuban says or does whatever he wishes, not minding the outcome. By 2013, he had acquired about 19 NBA fines, and by 2023, he had about $4 million worth of fines to his name, although this sum could be higher considering that not all the fines are made public. That would tell you his kind of personality. He's been fined for various reasons, from criticizing referees to running into the playing court to stop a fight. But let's deal with the most expensive fines he's received from 2000, when he became Maverick owner, all the way to 2023. January 4th, 2001, Mark Cuban was ordered to pay $250,000 in fines for criticizing the referees who missed a goaltending deal. He even went as far as ordering the replay of the possession on the Jumbotron. "The refs were pitiful tonight, and I don't care if I get fined," he said disapprovingly. January 8, 2006, the then 47-year-old billionaire intentionally targeted official Ed Rush in his criticism after the Mavericks were defeated by the San Antonio Spurs. "Ed Rush might have been a great ref, but I wouldn't hire him to manage a Dairy Queen. His interest is not in the integrity of the game or improving the officiating," he said. He was hit with a $500,000 fine for his comments. Like he wasn't having enough of the avalanche of fines he got, Cuban was on June 20th, 2006, fined $500,000 for staring and screaming at the NBA commissioner, David Stern, and a group of league officials during the Mavs' 101-100 overtime loss to the Miami Heat in Game 5 of the NBA Finals. His fine was for several acts of misconduct, which included another personal attack on ref Joe DeRosa. Cuban is something else. Fast forward to February 21st, 2018, the tech mogul, who's currently worth $6.2 billion, was made to pay the NBA a $600,000 fine for making a public statement deemed detrimental to the NBA during a podcast with Hall of Famer Irving Julius. Cuban publicly acknowledged that Falls was tanking at the time, revealing that losing was their best option. And in April 2023, Cuban landed his biggest fine of $750,000 after the NBA accused the Dallas Mavericks of resting key players during an eliminated game in order to improve their chances in the draft lottery for the next month. The league statement issued on X, previously Twitter, said the team went against the league's resting policy and demonstrated through actions and public statements the organization's desire to lose the game in order to improve the chances of keeping its first-round pick in the 2023 NBA Draft. It seems Mark Cuban and his team are dedicated to breaking rules and paying the resultant fines. Number 2. Donald Sterling, $2.5 million, 2014. We cannot easily forget the Donald Sterling saga that rattled the basketball world. The former Los Angeles owner was slammed with a mind-blowing $2.5 million fine and got banned from the NBA for life after he was found guilty of making racist comments while on the phone with his ex-girlfriend. This amount was the maximum that was allowed in the league's constitution for this type of violation. Donald had to sell the Clippers to Steve Ballmer for $2 billion. Although he cashed out extremely big, the ban and the fine were a permanent dent on his legacy and cannot easily be washed away. Number 1. Minnesota Timberwolves, $3.5 million, 2000. This astronomical amount of a fine happened back in 2000. Here's the gist. Former overall pick Joe Smith got signed with Minnesota on a $1.75 million one-year deal. It was a strange deal. Why would a player of his rank accept such a poor deal, especially considering the market for him at the time? Investigations uncovered the truth, and it wasn't really a humorous one. It was a tactic to circumvent the CBA rules at the time. The Timberwolves were unable to sign Joe to the lucrative deal he desired, so Glenn Taylor proposed a loophole. It was agreed that the Wolves would sign Joe to 3 short and affordable one-year deals to keep their cap space open. Those 3 years would permit them to obtain Joe's bird rights and eventually sign him to a mega deal. This plan never materialized, and a decisive investigation by the NBA revealed the shady deal arranged by the Timberwolves and Joe. Consequently, the Wolves were stripped of their first-round picks until 2005 and fined. That was why Timberwolves received such a hefty fine of $3.5 million. That's remained the highest fine in NBA history. Which of these NBA fines made the biggest impression on you? What do you think of Cuban and his leadership skills in the NBA? Let us know your views in the comments, and thanks for watching.